I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so I can see when people raise hands, and thus I can unmute them if they want to speak to us. Also, there is a Q&A button. And okay, we are officially on, but let us wait for like 2 more minutes because we still have only 10 attendees, and I believe several more people will try to jump in a couple of minutes. I hope people will join us. Literally 2 more minutes. That's it. There is still an open issue with those links. I'm not sure if everyone received those because we expected to see much more attendees. Much more people registered over the last several days, so we expected much more attendees. Usually when people register during last several days, instead of like in a month in advance, they actually come in. So I don't know, there might be some technical issues with the delivery of the link. Perhaps it gets into the spam folder, I don't know. I'd like to ask Maxim to check, maybe some people are writing on our Facebook group that they cannot join in.
No bad reports yet. People are slowly joining as usual, so up to 5 minutes.
Yeah, maybe up to 5 minutes. It's regular for this kind of webinars. People are asking if we can do it in Russian. Unfortunately, we cannot due to official formal reasons. We had a discussion with the headquarters, and they told us that we might do first event in Russian, then we must do second one in English. Then they're going to compare those somehow. And I mean, we are bound by these conditions. So. Thank you for asking, by the way. I'll be also reporting that some people were asking to do it in Russian instead. One minute to go and we'll start.
There is another report. It says, my Russian is very poor, can't even order a beer. So this is the other side.
Good.
Well, I think ordering a beer is quite universal thing, so it cannot be failed anyhow.
So I think we're good to start. So let me mute all of you, and then I'll be unmuting you in the order. So just for some, I don't know, practicality, I'll allow you to unmute yourselves just on your own discretion. So hello guys, good evening everyone. Glad to see people connecting to us. This event is hosted by the Kyiv Chapter Founder Institute, and we are hosting the second event right now. You might have been watching our first event last week. If not, it is available on YouTube, and the link will be provided in our Facebook group. I suggest you strongly to follow us on Facebook just to get the news about our further events, and also to have other information. So let me tell you a bit about the program, the FI program here in Kyiv. It is pretty universal over the world that FI is the brand which is the biggest pre-seed accelerator, and it allows people to realize their entrepreneurial dreams by applying to the course and completing it as actually already practiced entrepreneurs, because this accelerator demands you to register your company while you are going through the course. There is no but. If you are going to finish this course, you must become an entrepreneur, and over the due of this course, you will be undergoing such thing as the evaluation of your idea. And this is the topic of our today's event. And we have invited Ignat Thorovsky, CTO and co-founder of PopTop UK, which is a UK-based event planning marketplace. It is currently growing. It already went past its seed stage, and it's successfully pitching itself across the world. I've been happy to witness and accompany guys in Silicon Valley when they went to Startup Grind Global this February. Also, we are joined by Hnatkovskyy, CEO and co-founder of Propertymate AI. Dan is a real estate tech entrepreneur. He is driven by the goal of changing the way how real estate agents work with home buyers and interact with peer agents. Also, we have invited Alexander Galkin. Unfortunately, due to the reason that he is traveling right now, he couldn't join us. We know right now it's very difficult to arrange your cross-border traveling because of all the restrictions, so we should relate to that, and hopefully Alexandra will be joining our further sessions. Right now I'll give the word to Ignat, and he will tell you about the idea evaluation and how PopTop actually emerged after all the changes and perturbations which happened. So I'm unmuting Ignat. You may start. Give me,
right?
Yeah, now.
Yeah. All good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. Yeah, thanks for the intro, Ted. Yeah, as Ted mentioned, currently PopTop is event planning marketplace for private events like weddings, corporate events, birthday parties, etc. And different kinds of suppliers from the other side, like catering, music, DJs, bands, whatever you need for your event. But it didn't start like that from the beginning. Back in 2013, it was like really different idea. I'll probably try to tell like our story and give like from the perspective of our today's topic, like analyze what we did, what we did good, where we were wrong, and stuff like that. Yeah, so we in 2013 we applied to the accelerator East Labs with idea of marketplace of promoters and DJs. And we had quite important component of the startup idea, like the expertise of the team. We had professional promoter, Eugene, our current CEO, and we had like professional DJ. So we kind of had expertise from both sides of marketplace, and I was the tech guy. So yeah, I think this is an important part. And thanks to the guys, they had a lot of connections in their field. So we had access to our target audience from the start, which allowed us to build community around our product before we launched. The particular thing about the community we built was that it was like really interconnected, and it kind of double-sided thing. It played out well from one side and bad from the other side. Since it was like really interconnected, it was very easy to promote and like inject the idea of this new product into the community and get like early feedback on it. But as a marketplace, like for marketplace, it's important that you bring some extra value by building connections in the community you're working with, like which was like that feature for us back then because it was like already well-connected community. And yeah, so like it brought us to like building to the question of building value proposition. It turned out to be like that our product was matching really well with the needs of one side of the marketplace, which were DJs. It was like very valuable for them, and we've seen a lot of traction from their side. But for promoters, it wasn't enough. Our value proposition wasn't enough for them, and we could have get this feedback earlier. Like we worked on this idea for about half year before we switched, and it really depends how you make those interviews with your customers, because like everyone of us read or should read books by Steve Blank, Eric Rice, like Lean Startup, 4 Steps to Epiphany, all those valuable ideas, but it's really important how you implement those ideas. It's
a quick
yeah.
Pause. Actually, those are really good suggestions, and I think people must know some good literature, and we will try to post your suggestions on our Facebook group so people might have links where to order those books, like on Amazon, whatever. Just
yeah. The one we distributed in our team, like it's a small book. It's called Mom Test. That is like really short and nice introduction into all this. But it really depends how you practice those ideas, because I think back then we kind of blindly follow like what we should do, like make interviews, ask questions, ask feedback, and everything we were getting was like, yeah, it sounds great, like both from promoters and DJs. They were like really excited. Yeah, it's a good idea, nice idea. I'm gonna use it. Definitely can't wait for it on the market. But when we launched it, it turned out to be a little bit different. And I think it's because we were asking like wrong questions back then. It's looking back there, I think we were asking questions that would we wanted to hear good answers to, like this. We had this mentality of that we want to definitely validate that our idea is correct, but you rather should challenge yourself and understand why it could be wrong, like to push from the problem people have. So yeah, we got a lot of positive feedback when we were describing our idea in the beginning, but the traction wasn't that positive after all. And yeah.
From when you told you had lots of positive feedback, it came from customers or from investors or from just somebody like mentors? Because that actually matters. People might like the idea because they never had to evaluate it. Who was the arbiter to your to your idea?
Actually, it was our target audience through connections of Andrei Fiber, our DJ expert in the team, and Eugene, our promoter expert in the team. They had like good community, well-built community around them, and we were making surveys, just talking to people who were our customers, and yeah, they were excited. They really liked the idea, but when the time came to use it, like not everyone used it, and they like couldn't explain why. Like it just wasn't the case. Like they didn't want to use it. Like they didn't have the real problem there. Yeah, so I think it's more about like how you ask and what questions you ask about your idea. Like we tried just to pitch it. Like imagine this marketplace where you can like book a DJ for like second dates for a cheaper price, and everyone felt like okay, but when it was there, there was not like really much need for it. And I think another thing that in the start it was like quite complex. We tried to cover too much with our idea, and especially in the beginning, it's really important that you boil your idea down to the most like critical part, most critical component of which means success for your startup. I think that what we lacked, yeah.
As a CTO, I need to ask you some perhaps an unpleasant question for a CTO. I just wonder, when you were applying some of your ideas, did they all went well in a technical way? Or did
yeah.
fail? Because that's important. Sometimes you can't realize the idea technically, and sometimes you do it perfectly technically, but it's just not required by the customers. It's different kind of failure,
yeah.
right?
I think in our case, technically wise, our project was like quite simple. We didn't have like complex technology. We were just building marketplace. In terms of technology, there was like not much innovation. It was more about business models, features, and stuff like that. And I think, yeah, another failure we did, we tried to roll out features very quickly. Technically, they were quite raw, like they were not perfect, but I think it was not the critical part of it. Like there were bugs, but there were not that many bug reports because like people were not using it that much. Like looking back, I think.
Excuse me,
yeah.
could you please give an example? Because like which
Yeah.
idea was executed but then not actually required by the customers?
Oh, plenty of them. I think the problem is not. Yeah. Pardon?
Perhaps not all our participants actually get the idea of PopTop as a company at all. So if you give a couple of examples, it will be easier for them to relate to your story.
Yeah, sure. So it was Gig Manager back then, like different name, the product for promoters and DJs. And from the start, we were trying to roll out many features. Like at the same time, we rolled out widgets for Facebook with calendar of gigs. And we implemented like booking system through that widget. And at the same time, we had on our website a few different like business models, how you could hire a DJ. You could run like a bid system, like create a gig and different DJs would bid for this gig. We were running pay-per lead. We were running commission-based booking system all at the same time. And it was even nightmare for us to wrap our heads around this. I can't imagine how it was like for our customers. It was probably chaos for them as well. And yeah, when you have like many components you testing at the same time, which are part of one system, and the system doesn't work, like total system doesn't work, it doesn't make you money, and you're asking yourself a question, what is wrong with it? And since like there's many parts you're testing at the same time, you cannot tell for sure. So yeah, like looking back, I think it would be wiser and we would move quicker if we would focus on one thing at a time. Like 90% of our effort probably were lost in this noise and chaos. We just couldn't get clean data on how people use these things because like we were creating too much disturbance for them.
So we also have a question from our attendees, from Matt. I'll just read it for you.
Yeah.
What was the thing that helped to show that clients did not connect with your idea? Was it at a demo, prototype, or later? I'll just paraphrase. Did you run some sort of a beta stage where just some people could try it, or everything went right on the market?
Back then, we were like very confident in our vision. We were like 100% sure when we were developing a feature, it's gonna work. Like, yeah, we have to build it. Like, we have expertise in our team. It's gonna work 100%. So we were like full on building it, rolling it out, and it just, yeah. So it was like on the stage of kind of prototype, maybe a bit more than prototype. Yeah, like we were actually building a thing to find out that it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Perhaps something else you just like to tell us?
Yeah, I think it would be like we sometime later, like speaking, it more relates to the market. So we seen that Gig Manager didn't work well. We've seen that we fulfill needs of one side of marketplace, but not the other. So we were thinking about how to fix that other side, the demand side. So we had supply side, which was happy, and we had demand side, which weren't. So we started thinking what other demand side we can find. That's how we started thinking about private events. So it's like different demand side. And we should have done better market research that could save us time. We probably could have started with it straight away because UK market for concerts, I might be wrong, but it should be around 1.2 billion. And for comparison, market for UK weddings, just weddings, is around 10 billions. As far as I remember, corporate events around 30, maybe even more billion. So it's like by magnitude much larger market, and it's growing. It's more growing. Like when you're choosing a market, you want to either like growing market, emerging market, big market. Yeah, so that was the reason why we pivoted to like this other side, this other segment of market.
What year you're talking about?
Pardon?
What year you're talking about?
Oh, it was a few months after we finished the accelerator. We were running out of cash, and we were like, it was like really critical moment for the company. Like, if we're gonna proceed in any way, or like how we're gonna survive. It was like really survival question back then.
2000.
It was late 2013, as far as I remember. Yeah, yeah, it should be. Yeah.
The situation changed drastically on your market. I mean, the competition side for you. Has it increased? By how much? I understand that every competitor is unique on this market, but still, do you feel some competition from analogous services? Or,
yeah, there's definitely competition, and it's growing. There emerged a few couple more companies which target same problem we do, but in a bit different way. Yeah, so there is competition, but I think we diversify that we are building like a to-go place for event planning. We're not lead generation. We're like, it's kind of cheesy pitch, but we want to build something like Airbnb for events. Yeah. I know it sounds cheesy, like when you when you pitch like that, but it kind of to get a sense, like a to-go place when you're planning an event.
Simplify and automate something which usually takes a lot of time. That's
Pardon?
Well, the way how I understand your one-liner is that you are trying to simplify and automate something which usually takes people hours to do.
Well, event planning is very complex. People planning events like 1 year in advance. We want to make experience as smooth as like booking a room or booking a hotel when you're planning to travel. Because market or hotels
as well, right?
Same
as with Airbnb, also you're cutting the costs for the customer of planning.
Yeah,
this way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's probably it's more not about costs, but experience they get. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think when you're choosing a market, you want to become that go-to place on the market. Like if there is one already, you need to challenge yourself to diversify. Like you cannot build second Airbnb, you cannot build second Booking. Yeah, and I think with those.
Timing is also important.
Yeah. We haven't seen anything like that on UK market. Even on a global market, there is no go-to place yet. Our aim is to become one. And with probably to sum up, with those failures during Gig Manager learned, we spinned off PopTop late 2013. And we tried to make it the correct way as much as we could. We didn't build anything, just the landing pages for customer acquisition. It was like a bunch of landing pages with a sign-up form for request. And we haven't built anything yet. We got the lead, and then we jumped on the call with the customer and trying to solve it manually. After we'd done it many times manually, like just on the phone, we properly could understand what they need, like what they really need. And after you do something manually for 100 times, you can see patterns which repeat themselves. That's when you start to automate and build. And this worked quite well for us. Yeah, like we gradually started building features just to automate the process we were doing manually on the backend. Like in the beginning of PopTop, we ourselves, our team, we were the backend, like human-based backend. Yeah.
Thank you. You know, I know PopTop is a really unique company, and I wish it only the best. I hope it will be developing and raise a lot of many new rounds.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So now we are rolling to our second panelist, Dan Hnatkovskyy, and he is currently in Ukraine. You returned, right? But
yeah.
I'm then spending in the US and building new solutions for the real estate market, right? I think he can
exactly
much better than myself. So the word is to you.
Yeah, thank you guys. First of all, thank you for having me. Also, it's super fun to meet you all of the people there in attendees list. I hope that eventually we'll be able to have like more personal introduction. So I didn't want to make it boring. Like Fedir knows that I've been trying to create something, put something together, like presentation, something like that, up to the last minute. And then I decided that it would be probably better on this stage to share something personal, something about my personal experience, because like all of us are founders here. We've been trying to create something, and I'm sure that we've been going through the same problems. And I noticed probably you can find all of the information you're interested in, or that might help you to just like, you know, validate your ideas or work with them, or like as Ignat mentioned, that there are plenty of books over there that you can just like read, you know, and then you can make lectures like we are doing right now. But at the same time, I just wanted to share something different from my personal experience and some of the conclusions that I've made working on my companies, and especially on my current startup. And I've put together a little deck for y'all. Let me try to share it. Just like first, I'll make sure that I'm on the first slide. Okay, so now on the first slide. All right, guys, can you see my screen?
I definitely can. I think.
All right, awesome. So first of all, like as I mentioned, I've done it in the last minute. So I've used the template that I built previously for my workshop, which is called Ideas and User Needs, it's like 7 hours workshop for product management school. And I've got like a lot of different tools and techniques there, but I've actually used this as a basis to just like create something useful and something short for you. So like, first of all, little introduction. So my name is Bohdan. Actually, I'm Ukrainian. It goes by Dan because like Americans have a lot of problems pronouncing Bohdan in a one word. So initially they were calling me Boh, but then like once again as a Ukrainian, I realized that Dan would work way better. So today I work and serve as a CEO and co-founder at Propertymate. Propertymate is a prop tech startup that helps agents make more deals and helps real estate developers sell new homes faster. Before that, I co-founded a couple of other companies. Most of them were targeted on the US market. And last 6 years, I'm more or less in real estate. So it's all started when I came into real estate development. Then I co-founded my previous company, which was called Brainify, and it was sales automation tool for real estate developers. And for the last little bit more than last 2 years, I'm involved in Propertymate, and we're trying to change the way how real estate market operates in the United States. Together with all that, I'm Techstars alumni. As Founders Institute is the largest pre-seed accelerator, Techstars is the largest startup accelerator in the world. So as you probably know, there are like big three, Y Combinator, 500 Startup, and Techstars. And this year, Techstars became the biggest one by the number of companies they're invested in and like the size of their portfolio. Together with that, I'm also alumni of Lviv Business School. I was also like, I'm proud to be summa cum laude of Masters in Technology Management program. And together with that, I'm a fellow of Thiel Foundation. And I was the finalist and the mentor in Harvard real estate venture competition. So first of all, like talking about the topic of my presentation, it's probably something you never heard about. I think so, because it's not something like popular or something that I found anywhere, but that's something that's been super helpful to me. Okay, just wait a second. Before that, there's a quick intro about my company. So like just to understand what I'm doing, and maybe there's a way how I can be helpful to you in my current position. So Propertymate is AI-powered network for residential real estate agents that help them to make more deals by providing them access to new construction real estate and off-market information. So basically, when you think about the process that Propertymate does, that's like the marketplace where home builders, real estate developers, застройщики cooperate with real estate agents. So basically, that all starts when developers add homes on our platform. Then agents are coming on our platform to get information about these homes. Then agents are bringing buyers on our platform, basically creating searches for them and helping them to navigate through all this. Then agents reach out to developers, developers sell homes, and then developers are paying us the commission for each transaction that is happening on our platform. Since start like in the middle of 2018, we completed more than 2,200 transactions with over 1,500 real estate agents, including some of them, including like agents from largest brokerages in the US, including Sotheby's International Realty, Douglas Elliman, Compass, Remax, and Coldwell Banker. So basically, our goal is to become the largest agent network in the US. And right now we work on 2 markets, New York City and Austin. And by the end of this year, we plan to launch in 4 other cities in the US. And basically, we've been really lucky because of all of that environment that happened around the pandemic, because it helped us to boost our business. And right now, we grew for the last couple of months from 10 new construction communities we had on Propertymate by the beginning of March to over 370 that we have at this moment. So we were able to grow in like 37 times because of like demand and uncertainty that appeared on the market in the couple of last months. But we're not, yeah.
Scan from me. May I?
Yeah, right hand.
When you said that you believe that the pandemic actually helped to boost the numbers, do you relate to the idea that people want to use your software because they try to limit their interpersonal interactions?
Yeah, that's actually a mix of many other reasons. So it's a really good question. So like the biggest reason why that actually happened. So it will be a little bit hard to understand for people who are not familiar with US real estate market, but basically what happened then when pandemic started, most of the home builders, they decided to cut off or like significantly decrease their marketing spending, right? And at the same time, many home sellers that been bringing resales properties on the market, they decided to take away properties from the market because they saw that they're going to sit there for too long and that no one is going to buy them because of the pandemic. So we appeared in the situation when there was the biggest shortage of inventory ever because people basically were not selling real estate while like many people wanted to buy, and real estate developers stopped spending money on marketing, looking for another sales channels and solutions. So what our product did for them, that we actually helped them to get direct access to verified, pre-qualified buyers who were ready to buy, and we were not asking us to pay us upfront. They were paying us only after transaction happened. So for real estate developers, that was like a risk-free way to sell their inventory. And for agents, at the same time, that's like the best way to get access to a lot of inventory that people need in the moment when you can't find anything in the market. So that was the reason why it actually worked out really well for us. But what we also see with pandemic evolving and how consumer behavior is changing around the market, that basically right now most of the home builders and most of the agents, they still like staying with our platform because they understand that actually these changes are here to stay, that the way you were marketing real estate earlier is not going to work in the future. And it's also like we introduced many solutions over the last couple of months that were helping people to understand how to, like, for example, how the sales office works due to COVID-19, or how the home builder is addressing pandemic issues. But basically that's all helped us to get the growth that we received.
Another question, which is related to market evaluation, it is very important related to a company, and I think it would also influence your overall idea evaluation, because it is not clear to me, and I believe to most of our attendees, what actually thwarts your scaling. For instance, I don't know why you cannot out of a sudden, for instance, market your product in Ukraine or on Cyprus or in the United Kingdom or simultaneously in a multiple states, and instead you just target some of them. Is there some technical reason, or is it more like legal reason, or altogether?
Yeah, so that's not technical reason or legal reason. Like, the problem is that when you're building a marketplace, you should remember about marketplace liquidity, that you should always have enough demand for supply you have, and you should have enough supply for demand. And it's really complicated to achieve on a broad market, right? So that's something that Ignat mentioned earlier, right? That for every DJ you have on your platform, you need to have a lot of people that are ready to book them. Because if you will not have people who are ready to book them, you will basically, like, your DJs eventually will go away. So it's way easier to achieve on smaller market when you're addressing some narrow geographical area, right? And you grow from there. So that's basically the biggest reason behind this. We are targeting fast growing.
That's an important point. Very important point.
Yeah.
For our whole session. Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah.
Sometimes
yeah, so we are addressing fast growing markets that will perform well, like in recession and at any other time that can basically affect real estate transactions, the real estate market overall.
So you were saying about the rising numbers, and where does it lead to your presentation?
Oh, well, and I forgot, there's another reason. There's another reason. There's also another reason. So, like, first of all, real estate is the largest market in the world, right? So if you're thinking about financial tools market or about stocks market, the total stocks market is like $70 trillion, right? And you think about that and it's like huge number, but when you're thinking about real estate market, it's $250 trillion. It's like 3 times bigger than the whole stocks, all of the companies combined. And when you think about the market that we are addressing, so that's residential sales, it's like $2 trillion a year, right? And this small market segment that we are most active in, which is called new construction real estate, that's around $300 billion a year. And at the same time, it's like the most underserved and the most conservative market. So if you're thinking about like the market where you want to do something, or when you like looking at different areas, like look for the markets that are growing fast and that are heavily underserved, right? And especially if you have an experience as that, but like, in our case, that was a game changer, that we realized that there are like $300 billion sitting there that are basically have like a lot of issues, a lot of problems. And we decided to start with like the biggest of them. But actually, that's the thing that I want to tell you about, right? So that wasn't like that from the very beginning. And still, I think that we are so far from something that can be called like meaningful success. But I think that success is not the like end result that you're getting like from the exit or from IPO or something else. It's just like when you have meaningful and working process that helps you to achieve your goals day after day. And that's the thing that I want to tell you about. And if I would think about how to call that in one, like in one phrase, that's gonna be Padlock Method, right? So that's a pretty unique thing. I'm not sure if any of you heard about this, because like that's basically the concept that me and my friends in some way like developed a couple of years ago. But I want to tell you about this as a story about how I was validating idea for my company. So it's all started like a couple of years ago, and I had some money, I had some assumptions, and I've seen this huge underserved market that is waiting there and just like waiting there to, you know, for me to take it all. And when you have an idea, initially, you like probably majority of the people, they think about some concept, right? They think that they can create some product and it can work. But like the problem is that creating successful product or creating successful companies has very, like the probability is very small. Like your odds are extremely small. So you can think about as, I don't know, like as winning a lottery or as just, I don't know, like winning big amount of money in casino or something like this. That's like your odds are extremely small. As a fact, if you will look at all of the fails and all of the attempts that people are making, so your odds are probably smaller than 1 million, right? But you can think also about it as about like unlocking a lock, right? Which consists of multiple digits. And initially, what most of the people do, they came up to this with a genius approach. So that was my way. So I thought that I am an expert in the market. I've read all of the books that you probably read and that you will be reading, that I thought that actually I know how to create cool products because I've done this before. And then I had a vision. We were using Scrum. We were doing like sprint after sprint. We were delivering product. But then we realized when like we had something, we had like so-called MVP, right? That was supposed to work, that is enough to test our, to just like prove our assumptions. We realized that it's not working. Basically, it was not working. It was not getting like the feedback from the market that we expected because something was wrong. We didn't really know what was wrong because we just like, we had some feedback, we had some ideas, we created a product, it didn't work. What's next? Probably we should do some incremental changes and test how they're working, right? So the next thing was A/B testing. So we started doing A/B testing about our product, about our landing page. We were changing like copy. We were changing some of the buttons. We were trying to rephrase this. We were trying to fix the way how like we address this problem, this solution to people. But the problem was that we were getting some feedback, but every time we were doing A/B testing, we were asking ourselves a question. Do we have enough feedback to make a decision or to make sure it is right or it's wrong? How do we know that like this results that we get, like this like 55% of people doing this action is actually the right answer? How do we know if we will like spend more money, get more traffic, and just people will interact differently or the same way? How we will know that that's enough? And that's the problem with A/B testing. Like you can do A/B testing and you should definitely do A/B testing, and it will definitely work on large amounts of data. When you have just like a couple of visitors or a couple of users here and there, probably that will be never enough to make sure that you are far enough, right? And at the same time, it always takes some time to make sure that you need to test one thing at a time, right? At the same time, it takes a couple of days or a couple of weeks to make sure that this assumption worked or this test was proven right or wrong. Another thing that we started doing was interviews. We realized, okay, so we're probably too far and we should just talk to people. We should like ask your users, ask your customers what they need and do the thing that they want. And we were making this really right. We collected a lot of potential leads. We sit down with them for over half an hour. We were asking them right questions. We were just putting them in a like vibe where they can be open and they can share all of the information they want. And after each of these conversations, we had an idea that actually like we have some product designed for them in our head, that we know what they need and we know where to move next. But actually what's happened, that after 100 of such conversations, we realized that now we have like 100 of product ideas, right? Because each of them was interested in something different. Each of them was proving us that we need something that can specifically solve their problem. And even if we were asking them about specific market, about specific issues that might have in their profession, it was still very different feedback that was just like pulling us in different sides, and we were not able to came to conclusion what we should do next. And exactly at such moments when you've tested everything, and when you understand that like most of the known ways to validate ideas are not working, it's time for Padlock. So there's a really good metaphor for this. So basically, I mean, when you trying to like crack the code of your product or find the best entry to the market, really good metaphor is actually the Padlock, because that's just like a unique combination that opens your way to just something that you really want. And majority of people, they're doing exactly what I mentioned earlier. First, they're trying to guess the combination. Next, they're trying to just like, you know, test the combination, just do some incremental changes here and there and make sure that that will work or that will not work. Or maybe, or just like, maybe they're asking other people, like, how do you think what the combination should be? But actually then you understand and you like remember that there are some people that know how to open padlocks, right? And just like, probably that's a bad metaphor, but these are sieves, right? You know that sieves can open any lock by actually rolling one digit at a time. And what they do, they listen very carefully to the sound and to the specific click that appears when you got the right number. So that's something like very similar to this. Padlock method is unique because instead of trying to unlock the whole picture and test some incremental changes here and there and talk to many people about what they need individually, what you do, you're trying to solve one problem at a time, asking very specific question, large group of people. So basically, Padlock method runs on blitz interviews with matching audiences, testing one choice at a time. So let's do an example of how we did it in Propertymate. So initial question that we had was, which of these problems do you have? And there was like getting access to off-market information, getting access to new constructions, knowing what your home buyers are interested in, or just like closing your leads. And that's like A, B, C, and D options. And we've sent this question to over 100 agents. What we noticed after that we had like a large group of people who answered with one option, that was actually getting access to new construction. So that was something that they were thinking about. After we knew that we have this group of people, like 60 people who replied that they have this problem, we asked them second question, like, for example, what they want to do with this information, how they want to access the information. We offered them a couple of other options they might be interested in, that we saw that might be like workable assumptions. They answered that they want to access it in a way how they're working with their like resales properties today. They wanted us to replicate the process they had in MLS so we can create it for new constructions. And we had another answer, and it was like other digit in our equation, right? After that, we asked another question and another question and another question. And eventually we had a very small group of people who we ideally knew about their pains. We ideally knew what their problem is. We ideally knew what solution they're interested in, and we knew how much and how they're ready to pay for this. So every question that you are asking should be very narrow, very specific, and you should make it as easy as possible for your audience to answer it. So I don't know like what exactly you're doing, which ideas you have, but the thing I want you to do, I want you to draft an email, very like short email, just 3 sentences, telling them the next thing, like, hi, Fedor or Maxim, I'm working on this big vision. Like that's the idea that you have. Big vision is that something that you dream about, something that is not like what Ignat mentioned earlier, that something that you are think about and that's making you uncomfortable, that you are not doing this at this exact moment. And then you ask them like specifically about the problems that they have about this idea or about something that might resonate with them. If you have any dilemmas, any assumptions, what problem they might have, or maybe what part of the process they are the most frustrated in, shortlist this and ask them these questions. Like, what do you think about this? A, B, C, D. Then if you get replies from some of the, like from the biggest group of your audience, ask them the next question. So I'm working on this big vision and it's narrowed down by A. Like for example, it's narrowed down to, so we're working on creating the largest network for real estate agents that is interested in getting access to new construction information in this way. And if this description matches your situation, which of the following options resonate most with you? And you ask them question after question after question, and it's actually helping you to narrow down and validate ideas that you have. So what will be really common that sometimes you will go to the dead end, that you will be asking a question, you'll see that like actually no people are answering you, or when you will see that people are actually just, I mean, you went down from like 100 people to 5 people in 3 turns, right? That means that probably something is wrong. But what you can always do, you can always go back, ask them this question again, just change the way of the question, add additional option, or just like reach out to them and ask them why they decided on this or that. But like the thing is that after you will go from each detailed point to another one, you will have very clear picture about what you're doing next, what your customers or what your potential users are interested in. And it will be more than enough for you to start actually executing on your idea or on your vision. And actually, like while I was preparing this and Ignat was already talking, I was trying to find some example for you, just something like to show you how it works. And actually it turned out that just yesterday I sent email like this. Like I'm continuing doing this every day. Every time I have an assumption, every time in our team we are talking about something we are not sure about, every time we have internal conflict when we don't know how we should do this and how we should address this issue, that's how it looks. I have short list of our users and I just sent all of them the same email like this. Hi, Rachel. I hope you had a great weekend. You can see that it was just like sent Monday, July 27th and 7:36 p.m., just like 23 hours ago. And I just asked them, We at Propertymate trying to create the best-in-class updates and notifications about new constructions and new developments in Austin for agents. We have a few options, and we'll appreciate if you can answer with letters that you think are the most important. And we have A, B, C, D, E, F, and G options. How do you think? How many people replied, like in percentage ratio? Like probably someone said something, but I had like 30% reply rate. I had 30
exactly
of
what I wanted
100
to say.
people.
I guessed that it
Huh?
would be 30%. I actually wanted to guess that it would be 30%, but you answered exactly.
Awesome. Awesome. This is great. Like usually, I don't know how many of you were trying to do some of the like cold email outreach or like email marketing. 30% reply rate is huge. Like I know what I'm talking about. Like 30% open rate sometimes is great, right? But like it was reply rate. So why it happened? Because I asked one simple question. I simplified it for my audience by narrowing it down to a couple of options that they can just like reply me by choosing like 1 or 2 letters. And as a result, I've got an answer to my question. I validated my idea in the shortest way ever. Instead of like making interviews, making calls, trying to figure out this and that, and just like, you know, procrastinate with decision making, I just asked people and I've got a reply really fast way. So that's about Padlock Method. And yeah, as I said, like I just wanted to share that as a personal story, as like a one tool that I believe can help you in validating your ideas and that you can start using right today. And just start with getting your audience, I don't know, like go to LinkedIn, get together their profiles, then set one question, one simplest questions that defines your success or your livability, right? If you're thinking about any idea, what is the simplest question that will make sure that this is working or this is not? And just ask this people, ask this question, all these people, make this easy for them, and just like keep asking until you will make sure that you have this biggest group that is actually answering you with something that you can move up to the next question. And eventually, like you will have way clearer way and way better understanding about what should you do next and how you should execute on this.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's
Yeah.
actually a very handy tool in my opinion, and it's very universal. It's pretty much applicable to any industry.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want with this. Like, I mean, you can test it. I don't know, like even if you are not working, you're not creating a startup. If you are, I don't know, just like trying to navigate something in your corporate life or understand how should you move next with like some of your decisions. That's actually like working really well. Like it was created for startups, it was created for product development specifically. It was creating for like initial go-to-market stage when you need to understand who your users are, what they want, and what their biggest problems and pains are. But yeah, it's pretty universal.
But for instance, whenever you actually send these questions in your particular case for your company, where do you get the lists of the people whom you send this question? Are those people from the industry? Are they in property development industry or property agents, real estate agents?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So in my case, that these people were real estate agents, right? But that doesn't make I mean like any sense. Like I'm sure that most of you know that you need to have like narrow and specific audience. Whatever you do, you always know that you need to solve like the problem of specific group of people. Nowadays, there is no problem to find anyone. You have LinkedIn to find like most of the professionals. You have Facebook where you can find literally everyone. You have a lot of like contact bases, specific social networks, just like professional networks where you can find any person. Just go find these people, ask them these questions, and then like act based on the answers that you'll have. In our case, it was LinkedIn. Like first people were from LinkedIn. Now we have like other ways to get them.
About the LinkedIn, because for instance, some time ago, I actually had a personal problem with my family. For some reason, we could not connect specific airlines over any customer helpline. So I just went on LinkedIn and looked for employees of that airlines just to connect with them and ask them how I can contact the helpline. It actually worked even for that.
Right. Maybe eventually you will need to create a like something, I don't know, network for airline employees where they can like easily switch company from this to that and just like, you know, create airline union. You'll know what to do next.
But they actually also solve one problem. I mean, the helplines. So they can be one universal helpline for all airlines. I believe it will be very scalable and cut the cost for all of them because they're struggling economically very much.
Yeah, probably. Or like network of pilots that you can just like, you know, give off to airlines every time they're flying somewhere. So like you see, we're already fontaining ideas based on this small action.
Yeah, it's very helpful. Thank you. Yeah. And we have a question from Matt. He asks, I believe he asks you personally after your presentation, how did you test your market? Meaning, what did you do to prove your product before scaling?
So Matt, that's really good question. So the thing is that I'm sure that you can't really scale anything until you will have product market fit. That will cost you a lot. And I think it's barely possible. So in our case, scaling happened itself. So we were waiting like, you know, for product market fit as something magical, something that we don't know how it looks, how it tastes, but like, you know, we were hoping that eventually we'll know what it is. So basically what happened when we knew that we have product market fit happened when actually users started inviting other users to use our product. So that was like the moment probably, I remember, you know, like many people are saying that they don't remember this moment when they had product market fit. I clearly remember this moment. That was when one of our users invited manually 200 other agents from his brokerage to our product. And it was super hard to do. It was so hard to do that I won't even invite 5, but he invited 200 because he wanted just like, you know, to show this to them. And he was inviting them one by one, typing in their emails and their names manually. And then what he did. And that was the moment when we realized that we have like some sort of product market fit and that we realized that we are probably can try to scale it. So that was the moment. So basically, I think just like if making it universal to that's for us, right? But making it universal to everyone, that will happen when your NPS or your K ratio, like that means that when your users are inviting other users and it's growing, will actually exceed your expectations. So that means that you're ready for scaling. You can scale before that. You can buy like traffic, you can buy users, you can pay something for this, but it doesn't mean that that's actually scales itself, right? It doesn't mean that you're ready. So I think when you're ready, you'll feel it, and it will happen itself. So you just like need to make sure that you're listening to your users and you're making everything that you can to actually solve their very specific but very painful problem on the best way ever. It's like in a way when it like just excites them and make them passionate about using their product. So when you have this, you're ready to scale.
Thank you. Thank you for the detailed answer. I think it's very valuable. So, and now let me actually remind all of our participants that this event is hosted by the Kyiv chapter of Founder Institute. And just please, you might look at the suggestions from Dan. He suggests a number of books. You may take your.
So when Ignat was talking, I saw that he will name all of the books that I had in my short list. So Okay, so these books are really cheesy. They're like, they're really like, I mean, that's starting level, but I definitely think that you should read them because they will help you to better understand how to work with ideas, how to validate your assumptions, how to work with your target audience, and this basically that's everything you need to make sure it's working. So first 3 books, they're more or less like legendary. So I'm sure you heard about them. Third one is just like the one that is free. You can just like Google it and get it today and just read it for free, like 90 pages or something like that. And you basically have everything that we've mentioned today, like on your phone or iPad. So that's probably all.
Thank
Do
you.
I have another slide? Yeah, I have another slide. That's my email and phone number. If you need it, you can reach out to me anytime. And like maybe can
Especially,
be
yes, if
helpful.
you're a property developer or real estate agent, not only in the US, I believe Dan may actually scale one day to any country.
Yeah.
The opportunity. So just a quick pause. Let me remind you that we are open for applications for the program, just so you can apply, do a short test, and then start the course and realize your entrepreneurial dream. And now we are jumping into the next phase. Unfortunately, we couldn't be joined by Alexander Galkin, CEO of Competera, because he is currently traveling. I believe it is an international flight, which is very difficult to arrange right now. So we all relate, and we hope he'll join us in our further sessions. And now let me introduce you to my colleague, Maxim Moneta, and then we'll have a group discussions with all our panelists. So let me unmute everyone just a moment. Still getting used to the interface. I'm muting all of you. Yes.
Hello, dear all. Well, I was patient waiting, not disturbing everyone with questions, but I have a bunch of questions. So in addition to Founder Institute, working together with Fedir and several of our colleagues, I'm also working with Startuppers Online, which is a platform for startups. So basically for the last 8-10 years, I'm talking to early startups basically on idea stage almost every day. And this topic today is basically the biggest pain for me because on the idea stage is really hard to validate something because there is no info yet. So when the early guys with only the idea come on this genius approach that Bogdan just described and try to say that of course the product gonna change the world, of course it's gonna work, of course there are millions of bugs waiting there. And there's, well, one more thing that I'm always reminding that if somebody wants to cut off the share of market or create a new market, is basically liquid should go from somewhere to end up here. So this is really important to understand from where, because validating idea would be really tough without actually knowing where the people equal money coming from, where you're stealing it from. So how you hack the system, where the luck leads to. And this question is not so basic to answer because basically 2 approaches is, of course, knowledge of the market, which could be really essential when you start something because, for example, Bogdan was really on the top of the understanding how the market works already there. So it was just the new tool that enhanced the processes and gave the access that was missing, right? Same with PopTop when it got to the idea reborn, it was already understanding how it works. And basically this padlock idea plus this dummy lending method combination gave actually this trick. But basically what it brought to in a more philosophical general sense is that it actually answered these questions that is impossible to answer without doing something just by sitting on the ass and watching YouTube. And reading books as well. They give many tips, but they don't answer practical real world questions that you get a question first, early, pre-seed or seed investors, partners, customers, and everybody else. So I really like the padlock description and the whole concept, but also I didn't interrupt that time, but this mention about dummy landing page, like to create a landing page before you create everything else is basically the thing I'm advising pretty often to early startups because it helps to collect some info without actually doing much. Because in example of Propertymate, I can imagine how much AI costs just to develop MVP and later on to make it functional with it. It's quite big investment for most of the early stage founders. Of course, for the serial entrepreneur, it's just a risk that you take, but for early stage founders is basically inaccessible kind of funds. They cannot spend it. But in case, so that question would go to Bogdan. In case if you would run this from scratch with zero resources as a like postgraduate, just having theoretical knowledge, would you be able to do it still, like to accomplish these targets using these methods?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So I think like just as for me, even I'm running Propertymate full time, I'm still times to times I'm trying just like some new assumptions, new ideas that I can just like verify really quickly. So I know like basically I understand what you're talking about. So I think that like for me, one of the most important things when I'm just like testing something is not only just like to get to the 10th digit on the padlock, right? It's just like to make sure that something that you're doing can actually generate you revenue. So like it's always starts with a padlock. So because you need to understand, like even when you're creating not even the padlock, so damn, it's like just it's so confusing. So basically it starts with the questions. It starts with the questions that you're asking your target audience. So you have some idea about something that's not necessarily you need to like, it's better if you understand this market, it's better if you work there, right? But sometimes I don't know, like I'm just passionate about something, I'm passionate about the food, I'm passionate about the restaurants, and let's say that I'm just like the person who never worked in restaurants, but I understand that I can actually create some sort of experience that will put all of the restaurants at the highlight and will help them to get more consumers, more buyers. And probably people that are working in restaurants, they will not always think about this that way because they're like have different mindset, and probably like an engineer or a person who've been developing products all life has better idea how to create this as a product and make this work. But what this person is lacking, that there are certain questions about the market, about the buyers, about like I mean like customers, about your users that you don't know. And I believe that the best approach before you're making anything, because like you can think that I'm an engineer, I can just like code something really quickly and look how it works. Probably it will not work, and you will lose your motivation, you will lose your passion, and then you'll think, fuck it, I'll go back to my work and I will just like, you know, code something different. And maybe like startups are cool, but it's not for me. So that's what's happening with majority of founders or majority of smart people that are trying to risk something and just like to put some time in to create like virtually anything. But when you're asking these questions, when you're trying to better understand your market, better understand your customers, better understand the problem that you're thinking about, you understand, right? It's actually giving you way more confidence. It's giving you better understanding. What should you do next? And then, like, I mean, that landing page that you will create will be 10 times better than something you will just create not asking these questions. So I think that it's always better to start with questions. Of course, after that, you're doing everything else. You have like, at the end, you will have these 10 people that match with all of the like 10 options, and you know who they are, and you can like, you will know who you're looking for, right? And you can like address exactly this audience and try to solve their problem. So I think it's better, like it's better to start this way. So that's the way how I will do it. But after you've done it, right, think about like, ask yourself one very simple question: how can I get revenue in 1 week? Just ask yourself this very simple question: how can I get revenue in 1 week? Probably like, I mean, you can do whatever. You can do AI for this or that. You can do like app for just, I don't know, for anything. Like you can do anything. But if you can't answer this question, like how I can make revenue in 1 week, probably you will not be able to make revenue in 1 month, or unfortunately in 1 year after that, because it should start like with this simple way. Like, because when you're asking yourself how I can make revenue, that not only means how you can get money, that means how I can deliver enough value to this specific group of users so they are ready to pay me for it. And usually that's way simpler. Like basically when I asked myself this question, I realized that I don't need AI. I don't need technical platform at all. I don't need anything. That's just basically what I need to do. I just need to take one agent or one buyer, and I need to make sure that it will end up with transaction. I can make it in a manual way, right? But after that, when you start thinking how to make this more scalable process, how you can bring in enough people in and get good enough outcome to all of the other side of the marketplace, you came up with a solution. But the first question should be how you will basically make this work and how you will make money on this.
So thanks. So questions come first always, the answers later, but it's really good insight. But also you mentioned about the experience. So if somebody would come and suggest me a startup that people have no experience on the market that they are targeting to, I would always recommend to go there and actually try it on their skin before doing any super big platform or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. So
just understand the problem.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you like on this. So I will not, like, as an investor, I will not invest in people who never like worked in the field where they're trying to create company in. But like, I think that all comes up to the stage where you at. I mean, like, to all of the attendees over there, you can make sure that if you will have significant traction, if you will have revenue, if you will prove to anyone that you actually done something and it works, no one will, like, I mean, people will not give a fuck about your experience. And if you've done it before, they'll see that you actually did something. Yeah, like questions are answered. Like the question about your experience, you know, like, I mean, I've spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley, and basically one of the things that they're like about your experience, when someone is asking you about your experience, it means they're interested if you work in FANG, basically Facebook, Amazon, Alphabet, like Alphabet, like Apple, Google, right? They interested if you were studying in Stanford, Berkeley, or any other Ivy League university, and they're interested like what you've done so far. Basically, they need to know that you are validated yourself as a person. But if you have attraction, if you already prove that something that you're doing is growing fast enough, and you're solving important problem, it doesn't matter. Like, just to make this clear, like your probability that you will solve the problem in the field that you're knowledgeable about is way higher that you will solve the problem in a field you know nothing about. That's like clear as a day. But basically, I think that there are many industries that just have huge problems, and that it is like huge problems that are not very complicated problems, but not many people are solving them or resonate with them. So, and I think like you should just like look around, carefully listen to the world, to the markets you're interested about, and just look for the thing that you can be really passionate about it, that you can see yourself like running 7 years in still with that thing. So
thank you. So market and traction, and I'm just curious, Ignat, did this dummy landing page generate you any future traction? So I mean, if there were like early requests, they got on board, maybe they shaped up the early community to help you out, to support with ideas, and then did some of them really become the actual customers in future?
Yeah, actually it worked out well. I'm not sure we got revenue in the first week, but definitely first month. We had a bit of like unfair advantage with these landing pages, because we already had some roster of suppliers. And another good thing from the accelerator, from their network, we had connection to like mid-size famous artists from X Factor, Голос країни, and stuff like that. So it was like very attractive for traffic. Yeah, so we closed a couple of deals like quite fast, just manually, just on the calls without any backend.
So
yeah,
it works.
It's true.
You know, I had a case recently just confirming your result, because mine was the same, because I've launched the platform first, and then to the early customers, I had to explain the whole platform and also explain why we don't have that many users, because they were in the first 100. So before it, like, you know, it's hard. But one of our competitors that became a partner, actually, he was launching a much simpler, not a platform, but app that was complementary in functionality. So we were not competitors, but, you know, helping each other. And we realized that he was, for half a year, collecting all the info in emails, just stating several really cheesy, but really functional clickbait slogans that he will improve the communication between founders. And you know what? He got 6,000 users the first day. The other thing, that the business process was not ideal, so it didn't go too far, but it was really cheap way to, you know, get the first, at least, user flow, maybe not traction.
So it's like fake it till you make it approach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he didn't lie.
Yeah, I think like, just like, if I can get it, it is like, I believe that like every founder did something like this at some point, that you're thinking like, you know, we'll solve this problem, like we'll get a lot of users and then we'll see what's next, or we'll get like a lot of users and, you know, and magically everything will work and it will be like El Dorado or something like that. But like, it just like, sometimes it not happens. Like if I've learned something that, you know, there's this like Dave McClure, like pirate metrics, like acquisition, activation, retention, like revenue and referral, that I realized that basically if you haven't solved it, like the whole equation to the end, it doesn't make sense that you will like, I mean, all the acquisition you've done. As a fact, I think that first, like every founder in terms of metrics, first should focus on activation and retention, and then get back to like acquisition and referral. So first you need to make sure that every user, every customer that you will bring on the platform, that they will stay with you. Otherwise, like, I mean, there's a lot of ways to get like billion of users, just like, for example, spending like, I don't know, $1 billion and paying $1,000 to every users who will sign up on your platform. That doesn't mean that they will stay there and they will use it. And I think it's really important to remember, because otherwise we're just like, you know, we're getting into illusion that number of users is actually product market fit. It's not product market fit. That's just like, I mean, your user acquisition strategy worked out, but it doesn't mean that like your product is working.
I totally agree.
We have one question from the attendees. Yaroslav Boyka is asking, I believe both panelists, when you formed ideas for your startup, you systematically approached it, looking for possible problems, analyzing each industry, or perhaps other factors influenced the formation of your idea or choosing any idea?
Okay, that's really, really good question. So if I got, if I got it right, so I think that just like answering short, I probably that's the first, right? So that I was systematically approaching the market, approaching the problem, looking for possible problems, and once again, like asking potential customers and users about them, and then looking for other factors influencing it. But I think that eventually what's really happening, that you develop this pattern vision when you look at something and when you constantly thinking about like these problems that may appear here and that, here and there, and you just like trying to solve them in one space, you start seeing this at other businesses or other industries, and it just like you know, like it works like epiphany, that you're looking like, I don't know, at restaurants, and you understand, oh, like if that's working like this here, you probably can add this and that will change this result. Or if you like building sales, I don't know, like if any of you had this thing, but like every time I'm talking to someone about their problems or about their business, I'm always trying to like put my patterns and my experience from what I was doing in totally different industry, and how that may work out there. So I think that if I got the question right, it may work out in some cases, but still what's way more important is going deeper with your users, and just learning from the market, like specifically learning from the market.
Thank you. And is there any additional answer from the path of PopTop?
Yeah, if I got the it correct, it's like where is the source of the idea, like where it comes from. I think in our case it was like expertise, the background we had. Like my co-founders had deep expertise in DJing and like being a promoter of the event. I had some expertise building marketplace for a musician before, so like it was kind of like organic step, but I'm sure it's like not the only right or wrong way to do that.
I see. Well, thank you. Maxim, you wanted to add something, right?
Yeah, there is another good source for validation of the idea, and I think in terms of Founder Institute, we must say it, because mentors or experienced people from the field and companies, I think worth attention, because that's a good way how you can get some market insight, or at least understanding of current situation on the market, by talking to people who already are on the market quite strictly. So who has experience on that? Or like if you would range, like what would be the first by the efficiency method to get the validation of the idea? What would be the second or third? Like how to compare them, if it's possible? So in my experience, for example, before even starting questions, I was coming to the mentors with the experience from directly the field and composing questions with them, then asking them from the consumer and cutting the most complicated ones, because nobody would, you know, answer them anyway or choose. And that's how this initial set of questions was formed. Then a dummy page maybe would go. And only that after this, I would start gathering a team and collecting it in MVP or some kind of product. What do you think about this? Ignat, done?
Yeah, so I'll say that, like, I mean, at Techstars, we had so-called mentor madness, when just like in 3 or 4 weeks, we were going through like 180 mentors, talking to them for each for like 20 minutes, trying to get their feedback on what we're doing and solve one problem. So I think that mentors are extremely helpful, but you should, like, basically what mentor will tell you, like, probably you shouldn't expect mentor give you the answer, because mentors will never give you the answer, and any answer that anyone will give you, but like the answer that you will find yourself, will be pointless. Because like if the person will tell you the end point, but you will not go through each of them personally, and you will not know why that happened and why that should work like that, that will not that will definitely not work. But mentors will still like give you the process and explain it. Like, I think that what's really good way, it's to learn from mentors how you should find the questions, or how they did find like answers to questions they had when they were doing something similar that you are doing like yourself today. And also, I think that one of the best way to learn anything about, like, learn something about anything is just like also to learn from your competitors. That gives you like, I mean, like if we'll think about this, there are, whatever you're doing, there are probably plenty of people that are trying to do something similar or have done something similar. And some of them are still doing this. Some of them have stopped doing this because of some reasons, but you can always reach out to them and learn like why they did it, what they learned, why it happened. And it's actually, from my experience, I've learned that my competitors have been some of the most valuable sources of information to me, because they told me like what worked, what didn't work, what they've got, why they think that worked or didn't work. And that's actually helping a lot. So, but it's probably like on the next stage when you already have something, you know why that worked and why it's not working. You just like need some additional information or get some proof in like what's happening next. But yeah, so like I think the bottom line here is that if you have questions, ask everyone who can have like the slightest idea how to overcome this, and how to move forward. Like even, I mean, some of the people might be pointless. Like the best way is still to ask your customers, but I'm sure that with time you're developing like this pattern vision, and when you see like that's the valuable thing, that's might be something good, or I've heard this, like let's ask some additional questions, what will come out from that. Like, but the most important thing is to like can always be curious and always asking questions whatever you're doing.
Thank you.
Ignat, did you have
Yeah, I
something?
totally agree with Dan on that. I think in our case, mentors in accelerators helped us to absorb these ideas about simplicity, testing one thing at a time. And yeah, you can really learn a lot from the competitors. It's like that metaphor of standing on the giant's shoulders. Like in our process, it wasn't like a direct competitor, but there's like a similar marketplace on the US market, which called Gig Masters. We have stolen a lot from them, a lot of solutions. And after some time, we reached out to the founder of the Gig Masters, and he ended up being our advisor now. So like competitors, or maybe not competitors, but someone who does the same thing and maybe a bit further in the road is like potentially could be like your advisor on the way. Yeah, we learned a lot from him. Like it was like one of the most valuable connections for us for industry insights.
So it's a really interesting example, but I have a funny story to add that when we've been doing Swedish SaaS for marketing, so what new you can do for marketing SaaS platform? Basically not many choices, right? And we were targeting to media companies that we thought our idea was that they would sell to their customers. And we spoke to one of the CEOs of one of the top media corporations in Sweden, and he said, well, come on, guys, media would still work on TV, newspapers, and everything else. Just don't do extra software that nobody would need. So the next spontaneous meeting was the CFO of the competitor company to them. And I just asked him, how is the revenue with paper stuff and electronic subscriptions? And he just showing like this. He said, newspapers, then electronic subscriptions. I said like, well, you will search for new revenue because you have a lot of cash and you need to, you know, invest it to something that will work. He said, well, secret, we're buying a company next week. And there was exact sign that we should go there and try to offer them the additional revenue, because the first CEO was just really, you know, old school and not open for new stuff. And actually in a couple of months, he changed to the new person in this media corporation. So talking to everyone and not be scared of paying attention on competitors, that's absolutely good solution.
So
Yeah.
guys,
Also, probably just like add one thing about mentors that like been very helpful for us in terms of working with mentors. So like a couple of advices, like probably like, I mean, that's within our work, right? But like first thing that try to get mentors with different backgrounds, like just like I mean there's just like one mentor that you know you can go to for some industry advice, one mentor you can go to like your marketing, like our sales advice, another mentor who can help you with fundraising, another mentor who can help you with strategic questions. And when you're meeting with your mentors, like always be always understand that like their time is very valuable as well as your time is very valuable, and try to get them all together in one room. So that's really, really important, because like it's first of all, this will be very useful skill that you will have like when you will have your board of directors, and you will just like talk to them about the stuff that you have in your company and whether you're going next. But at the same time, just I believe that like expertise and knowledge multiplies by the like expertise and knowledge like another person in the conversation. So it means that if you're talking to someone, like the outcome is actually your expertise multiplied by someone else's expertise. And if you get all of these people in one room, you're going out with like way better outcome. At the same time, you're saving your time, right? Because you're spending less time meeting with your mentors and putting them all on the same line. And also you're just like getting better results out of this. So if you're meeting with your mentors, try to turn it more into board meetings. Just like read about the process, but it will be super helpful. This like game changer in mentor communication.
Okay, let me remind you that slowly our event is coming to an end. So it's the last chance for attendees to write questions while we are still here. Or if you come up with your questions later, you might leave them in our Facebook group of Kyiv Chapter Founder Institute, and we'll direct them to our mentors. So once again, let me urge those attendees who have some entrepreneurial dreams and ideas to enroll into the program. Register, just pass one interesting test, then get your results, and just wait for a call. And perhaps you'll start with the course and end up with a working company. So thank you, our panelists, Dan Hnatkovskyy and Ignat Thorovsky. And well, we'll be glad to hear from all of you once again. And let me remind everyone that Ignat and Dan are our mentors who will be mentoring the course and specifically guiding our applicants to realizing all their entrepreneurial claims and dreams. Any last words from any one of you, perhaps, before we complete our session?
Nobody
well,
wants
like
no last words. Everybody want to speak more. You know.
yeah,
We can continue.
I'm already tired. Frankly speaking, I have beer over here, just like waiting for me when all this will end.
I'm a bit jealous.
Yeah. Yeah, I think guys, just like I mean, keep trying, just like keep doing something, and eventually like all of you will be extremely successful. But there's like the difference between successful and not unsuccessful people, and just like successful people doing more tries, right? They're trying more, they're just like never satisfied with stuff they live in or they work in, and they're always trying to make something better. Just like keep trying and you will be extremely successful. Yeah, thank you, Matt, for your questions. Like 2 questions is max this time. Maybe you have another one.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Matt is tired as well. Just as simple as that. Okay, then thank you for me though as well. So talk to you soon, guys.
Thank you.
Participants.
Soon, yeah, no problem. Have a nice evening. Bye.
Have a good one.